You know, we talk a lot on this show about creators, the innovators, and the people who make cool stuff happen. And every once in a while, you get to meet someone who is, without a doubt, a capital M maker. Someone who has built everything from movie props to spacesuits and even a working replica of an Apollo hatch. He's the man who showed us all that duct tape can, in fact, fix almost anything. His work on tested.com continues to inspire a new generation of creators, and his enthusiasm for building things is absolutely infectious. Please welcome the one and only Adam Savage.
Oh, that was a beautiful introduction. Thank you.
Somewhat helped by AI. You don't think we write like that, do you?
Yeah, that was lovely.
It's the digital assistant I wish I had the whole rest of my life.
Yeah.
Well, let's get started in on this. It's been a while, Adam. You were one of our first interviews we did back on this show way back in 2005.
You were one of the first interviews I did back in 2005.
Wow, there we go.
Cool. Well, since we last spoke, what have you been doing for the last 20 years?
Yeah. Well, after we did that podcast, Mythbusters ran for another 9 solid years. And then after that, I made a marvelous follow-up to Mythbusters called Mythbusters Junior in 2018 with 6 colleagues aged 12 to 17. I'm still in touch with them. They're all amazing. Then I made
older.
What's that?
They're all much older now.
Oh, they're all in college, and I don't recognize them when they see me. But I did get to teach an 11-year-old how to tactically drive on tires made of duct tape.
That's awesome.
I keep tying this back to duct tape somehow.
Yeah.
You know, as an aside, as a tangent, when I wrote a book in the intervening 20 years called Every Tool is a Hammer. We released it in 2019. And there's an entire chapter on glue. And the opening sentence is, I hate glue. I think glue is the worst solution to a problem unless it's the only solution. And then you can examine your options. But I will always choose a mechanical solution first. And when the book came out, I was at a reading in Seattle, and someone raised their hand and said, I'm curious why you didn't have a chapter about tape. And I was like, it's because it didn't occur to me. And the opening sentence of my chapter about tape is another surprise, which is that I hate duct tape. I love duct tape as a metaphor. So as a writer, as a maker of stories, duct tape is a magnificent tool. As an actual material, it's shite.
Right. Your opening line, it has a light side and a dark side, and it binds the universe together.
Craig, I was just about to use the same line. We have been doing this way too long.
Yeah, we have.
Then in 2019, yes, I think in 2019, I made the last television show that I made called Savage Built. That was 10 episodes. It was really fun to make. We had a really tiny budget, but I got to go to New Zealand and strap laser tag onto Peter Jackson's priceless World War I airplanes and have dogfights above New Zealand. It was, it was an e-ticket impossible show to make. And we had a lot of fun. And then when COVID came along in 2020, we went from releasing about a video or two a week on Tested to 400 videos a year.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
It was a very natural transition to that periodicity. I just started generating builds out of here, and we started finding efficiencies. And we're still releasing about 400 videos a year. And Tested has fundamentally shifted everything I thought about media. It's been a spectacular ride. I now have a small team, 7 of us make this channel work. And the team is tight as a drum. The two main women I run this company with, I have a combined total of like 55 years of working experience with them.
Wow.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's
so
awesome.
it's a wonderful enterprise. And, I recognize that I'm enjoying mostly single stream income on YouTube ad sales, which is, nerve wracking.
Yeah.
And it's been a difficult year, but we're still doing great.
Good. Now I heard the word enterprise. So Craig, there's your segue.
Yeah. So, what is your TV fame? What opportunities has opened up over the years? Like, we've seen. I obviously watch the channel. I'm a member, by the way. Just saying.
Oh, thank you so much.
And I love watching the prop store episodes because they always have something really cool in there. And we saw you looking at the battle damaged Enterprise. What kind of things has your TV fame opened up for you?
It's so when I'm going to paint you a scenario where you want to go visit someplace and your buddy works there or knows the people that run it, and your buddy sets it up for you. Hey, take good care of my pal Craig. He's coming over to look at something cool. And then they just roll out the red carpet for you. They never met you. You never met them, but like you get a kind of e-ticket tour. Almost everywhere I go these days, it's like a buddy has set up the meeting for me because people know where I come from. They know that I do the work, that that I actually am a capital M maker, as you say. I really appreciate that. And specifically on film sets, they know I come from that side of the camera. And so we joke, but it's really true. Like every film set or television set that I step on is like finding a wider group of my family. And they're all so excited to tell me about the stuff they're working on. And it might be the production designer on Ghostbusters Afterlife, or it might be, the aerodynamics engineer at some, secret place in Mojave wants to show me some skunkworks stuff they've been working on. I'm holding on to a lot of secrets, which is delightful.
And painful.
Yeah.
What really the most fun part of, so in answer to your question, it's almost like it's just a delight what I've been shown about the world. And it's less the objects most of the time than it is the people showing me them.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. Well, speaking of people, you did a convention for a few years. Any thoughts of bringing Silicon with Adam Savage back?
I loved making Silicon. Good morning, sir. I loved making Silicon. Rick White and Trip Hunter, my partners in that, were amazing. I don't have the bandwidth to also run a con in addition to Tested and this whole enterprise. Matthew, do you need a key to Tested?
Yeah.
Hold on. Just a sec.
Live.
There you are, sir.
Hey, Matthew.
Matthew is the maker of the beautiful animatronic Grogu head that I've been playing with lately.
Oh,
and
nice.
He is the brains behind that. An amazing engineer. What was I saying? Where were we?
Silicon. Don't have the bandwidth.
Oh yeah. No, so it is a huge enterprise to throw a con, and the pop culture cons have become a mainstay of my income. We do between 8 and 12 a year all around the world. We're doing Australia next year. But running one, if I did that again, it would be the only thing that I do. I don't think that would happen. It's just, it's too much extra bandwidth for what's going on here. And
Yeah.
I mean, that's also been, I feel like growing older is getting in touch with how hard you can work.
We were
you're
just having that discussion. Just before you got on camera.
You have so much extra energy. You just pour it into everything, and you should, right? That's the time to like waste your energy and try everything. In my 50s, man, it's a much more scarce resource.
Yeah. In the last year, I turned 60 and retired. And there's this myth that you'll have all kinds of time when you retire. No, it's just reevaluating priorities again.
That's right.
My wife and I actually have lots of discussions about it because she's like, look, I say, there's always going to be a workbench in my daily.
Yep.
Always. They're just that's how I breathe. And I think that retirement for me will look like less travel. Right? I still fly. Before COVID, I was flying regularly about 100,000 miles, domestic and international.
Yep.
Wow.
And now it's about 75,000 miles, give or take a year, which is it's a slog. It's a lot on my body.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the Tested channel has grown over the years, as you talked about that. What's next for it?
That is such a lovely question. It is a question we're asking all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Tested is really about the fans. It's about the audience. The audience is the reason we're here. And so I feel like what we do on Tested is constantly learn about what we want to do and what the audience is interested in. So, we opened up the memberships a few years ago, and the degree to which the memberships on Tested have given us so much more elbow room and freedom to try different kinds of content. We're constantly surprised by the stuff that does well, and we're constantly wrong about the things we think will do well. And that is a constantly humbling lesson. And to us, the what that lesson teaches us is just keep doing what we're interested in. So Joey, Josh, and Norm, the three producer, editor, shooters that are key to Tested, they opened a second channel recently. Key to, it's like there's only 7 of us. They opened a second channel to cover the even nerdier stuff that they wanted to go into. So to me, it's this growing thing that we're sort of servicing rather than a plan. And I love that. I really appreciate the amount of freedom. I didn't, for the longest time, for my whole professional life, getting to work in my own shop was always the last thing I got to do. Was at the end of the day, at the end of the week, at the end of the year. And I guard my time here preciously. And now I'm here 40 hours a week, and it feels like the most insane luxury.
Yeah. You've got a lot of technology behind the builds. How do you stay on top of that technology?
Oh, I go very slowly with my acquisition of technology. I mean, I remember building one of the first MakerBot 3D printers, again, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Trying out some prints. And then I really didn't touch a 3D printer until 3 years ago, when Norm handed me the first print I'd seen out of a bamboo. And I was like, what is this magic?
Yeah.
And
they've advanced so much, haven't they?
Well, and I mean, what Prusa started and Bamboo ran with is an amazing, amazing tale of technology improving stuff without physically changing the plant that much, right? And so now we have, I think I've got like 15 3D printers of all different kinds of materials in this building right now.
You may have a problem if.
Yeah.
So, but I was very slow at adopting it. And I got that question a lot back then. Why aren't you using 3D printing? And I'm like, for the most part, if it's going to take overnight and I'm not sure if it's going to work, it's faster for me to make it myself.
Mm-hmm.
And in any mission, if I had a business, I'd have 40 printers. And everyone I know with a business has 40 printers because that's what you need for the insurance to make sure you can have the part by tomorrow morning.
Mm-hmm. I just watched your video about your upgrades to your bamboo carbon. Because I just got one myself. So, yeah, it was kind of funny you're bringing that up because I was like, I just watched that yesterday.
I talked my son-in-law to get one last Christmas. So it's in my dining room.
That's the most fun part about this moment in technology is when people are like, oh man, I'm not sure I can afford a 3D printer. And I'm like, the Bamboo A1 Mini, man, it's $250.
Yeah.
And the quality is as good as the carbon. And it sits there silently in my office at home. Churning away.
Yep.
The next technology that I want to get better and to be able to utilize in here is 3D scanning.
Ooh.
I have friends with 3D scanners and I rely on them a lot. And I know that it is a touchy science to get right. And it's also improving a lot. And I can see lots of ways in which it could integrate well into my process.
Yeah, it's kind of amazing. You can do a lot of that just with your phone now.
I know. And I keep hearing that, but each time I've tried it, it has been a little bit of a little bit of a bait and switch. It's felt like.
Yeah, right. Well, speaking of technology, do you use AI at all? Do you ever anything you do?
I haven't yet.
Not even for like the day-to-day stuff like Google Photos or.
No, I'm weirdly cantankerous about that stuff. It's like my Gmail says, "Hey, I've composed a response. Do you want it?" And I'm like, "No," because then my AI is talking to your AI while we watch. And what the hell is going on?
Right.
I don't want to facilitate a conversation like that. I'm actually literally working on a graphic project in which I need lots of little machine labels, right? Like those little metal plates on old machinery. And I'm going to Photoshop them, but I've got like 60 or 70 I need to make. And that's exactly the kind of thing I feel like, oh, that's what AI should do for me. And honestly, it's in my plan this week to try out and see if I can iterate a set of labels with AI's help rather than individually photoshopping 70 files.
Yeah, that would be a big chore.
We need it. Look, what we really need, we don't need AI for the I don't need AI for the creative output at all. I want it to take a mesh from somebody's crappy scan and turn it into a reasonable STL for me that I can print. Retopologizing crappy meshes is what AI should be spending most of its time doing.
Yeah.
Seems reasonable.
Yeah.
Right?
There's got to be some MIT student looking for something to do.
Also, I think AI could be a huge help in CAD. You know, one of the first things I felt like I rediscovered when I got into 3D printing again a few years ago was I started going to printables and Thingiverse and cults and looking at all the drawings. And for the most part, 90% of the drawings just aren't that great.
Right.
And it's not the fault of the people doing those drawings. I think it's the fault of CAD. CAD is still really hard to use. It's really counterintuitive. And that translation from 2D, the 3D in my head to the 2D of my screen to the 3D of the world is a really still difficult problem to solve.
Yeah. That's what my dad did for a long time was he's an electrical designer. So he was using AutoCAD since the 80s.
Yeah.
You know, laying cables all in his buildings and being able to envision that and make it happen.
I will say, actually, at ILM, AutoCAD was our bread and butter for the laser cutter, and we had our own set of Lisp commands for it.
Mm-hmm.
And man, I was fast at 2D AutoCAD. You can fly like lightning through 2D AutoCAD when you've got the right set of set up.
It has gotten a lot more democratized. Mm-hmm. When we spoke 20 years ago, I was an IT manager for an engineering company, and the ECAD and MCAD tools were just stupid expensive. They ran on stupid expensive hardware. And fast forward to today, I can do schematic capture, printed circuit board layout on a website for free. I can do my 3D modeling on a website for free. And in 15 minutes, have something running to the printer. That blows my mind, because I think of all those people that went to a lot of school and learned a lot of things that I can now do automated.
Yeah.
I have been hearing interesting tales. When Mythbusters first got really running, like 2007, 2008, and our momentum was really high. We got invited to go to MIT to be part of a lecture. And the teacher, David Wallace, was telling us, he said, in the last 4 years since you guys started and Maker Faire started and Make Magazine started, and a few other things that are part of the maker movement, he was like, in the 90s, you could graduate from an engineering school without touching a material. And in the early aughts, there was a backlash with more handling of, you had to actually build stuff in engineering school. And I've been hearing more and more lately that there is a kind of a sliding back towards the virtual and the abstraction of engineering rather than the physicality of it.
Well, speaking of engineering, you must do some microcontrollers, maybe system on chip, Arduinos and Raspberry Pis in your designs. Mm-hmm. Do you consider yourself a software developer?
Not even remotely. I have so many ideas. In fact, I'll show you one. Last Christmas, we did this build where I made the elevator panel from the movie Elf.
Oh, yeah.
You could control the buttons if you wanted to.
Yeah.
And this is literally like a Christmas decoration in our house. And every Thanksgiving, I will bring it over and hang it in the house, and it'll be our little Christmas decoration because we love the movie Elf.
That's awesome.
But I realized that what I have there is a 4x14 display.
Yep.
Or a 5x14 display, and you could display some animations on that. Moreover, it could log every drawing people make, because when it's hanging in the house, people are spelling stuff. My wife leaves me.
Oh, there you go. Capture it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And, it should have some tricks. It should have some memory of what's been played upon it and what it can do. And then when I first put it up, my thought was that I want to use it as sort of a programming platform for me to sort of learn the rudiments. And I still plan to do that. Grogu is another one. He's running on a Teensy and a few other bespoke custom systems. There's this wonderful group that has been doing software that sits between the transmitter and the servos and allows animations and curves to be built and adjusted. And we'll be doing some videos on the software of Grogu in the coming weeks because there's some really amazing efficiencies that are possible to do now with a lot of those systems on a chip.
They've gotten so much easier. I mean, even if you look at something like Node Red on a Raspberry Pi, it's drag and drop blocks. You're not really even programming at that point. It's
Well,
I need some logic. Here's an input, process the input, send this JSON output, done.
you know, the old rhetorical flourish of your iPhone has more computing power than the Apollo guidance computer.
Right.
I have updated that. Your charging cable has more computing power than the Apollo guidance computer.
We did see your video on the USB cables. Good stuff.
Somebody actually, I will tell you, somebody at Apple told me that years and years and years ago, Apple was having so much difficulty with HDMI out on other people's monitors that they built their own upres chip into an HDMI plug.
Really?
In order to
That's impressive.
I know. I'm not positive that that's entirely true.
Wow. Well, you got all these projects. You talked about some of the things that you planned to do in the future. And I know, I think, didn't you and Jamie do like a ad for Evernote or did something with Evernote?
Yeah. We did a bunch of stuff for Evernote back in the day.
Yeah. So I'm curious, what's like your process for, or maybe even workflow a little bit on planning out a project now?
Evernote is still actually a pretty key part of it, which makes me nervous because Evernote's now been bought and sold about 4 times. And so so my primary project management is visual. It is visuals of the things that I need to know. So I use Adobe Bridge as my primary interface for my creative projects folder, which totals over 1 million files.
Wow.
In about 1.5 terabyte big folder that is on the cloud for us. And also, so we all have access to it. And the bridge allows me to just, the first intersection between me and any project on any given day is visual. Look at what I'm doing, look at what I want to achieve. I also have to store a lot of data about the stuff, and Evernote becomes the main repository for that. The things I love about Evernote on that front are the ability to throw images and text and links all in the same place and be able to open them on my phone right away, as well as on my computer.
Yep.
There is a maximum amount of photos you can have in a document, which is ridiculous. That's my only complaint.
You found the limit.
I'm sure. Yeah,
I found the limit, and it can get real slow.
It's a 32-bit number, but he found it.
Exactly. So, and the other, look, you know, I've been open about having ADHD and managing it, and I'm fairly good at managing it. But for one of the things is I need to be able to put something somewhere and then go find it without really necessarily remembering where I put it.
Exactly.
And Evernote's search feature is spectacular.
Very good.
And this is in an age when a lot of search features like my text and my email on the phone are all shite, right? So I mad respect to Evernote for still, I can find that piece of information I put there 7, 8, 10, 12 years ago, and it's right at my disposal. And then one of the other most important tools in the shop is a laser printer. Just a standard office laser printer. I'm thinking about upgrading soon because both the printer at my house and the printer here at Tesla, which are the same make and model, are starting to cough up blood. You know, there's some, every now and then you'll send them a JPEG file from your phone and it takes like 40 minutes to print out. And like, who knows what legacy dumbness that the phone and the computer are trying to do to make that happen.
Right.
Your thoughts about the state of the makerspace today, for instance. How do you inspire others to get involved? This must be part of your traveling roadshow.
Yeah, well, look, I actually think in response to your question, I think of one of my primary jobs in the world is that I am a permission machine. I am here to grant everybody listening at any time I'm talking permission to try the weird stuff that they want to do. And I'm here to justify that there's nothing weird about it at all. And that when we delve into these things and apply our point of view to a problem in front of us, by definition, we are participating in our society and in our civilization and in our culture. I think that one of the things that I see happening more in makerspaces is really deep discussions about the nature of creativity. And I think that where, if I was saying publicly, go out there and make your brony pins and celebrate loving My Little Pony 20 years ago, that would have been a weird stance. And today no one thinks twice about that, about people exercising their hobbies to a high level of execution to enjoy them. And I think there's a lot less gatekeeping. There's a lot less shaming in the world about that in general. Every time I visit a makerspace, all I want to see on the walls is more failures. I want to see more iterative stuff. I want to see the broken stuff. I want to see the table saw accident hanging on the wall. It's the greatest be careful sign for a table saw.
Was it a finger?
Oh,
I just upgraded my table saw, and I decided not to go with the saw stop. I cut aluminum too often, and I knew that I would end up replacing blades a lot, so I decided to go with a normal Laguna.
Now, we go to Dragon Con all the time, and speaking of seeing esoteric mix-ups and trying to think, a lot of cosplay, and we've seen some of your cosplay. So have you done any secret cosplay lately?
I have not done any secret cosplay lately. It's been very, very difficult. My appearance at the cons these days is of a fundamentally different nature than it was before COVID. Before COVID, I thought it was weird to charge for autographs, and it felt strange to charge money for doing that. And then I got educated by my fans that they wanted the ability to meet me if they wanted and to have an interaction, and that the pop culture con is the modern day carnival where that can happen. And so it used to be pre-COVID that I would go to New York City Comic Con or San Diego Comic Con or Dragon Con, and I wouldn't be signing autographs. I wouldn't be taking pictures. I'd just be there to be part of the con. And I do a cosplay contest. I do one of my incognitos. I do a few panels, and I'd probably shoot a bunch of my own videos. Now I go there and I'm at the table for, between 10 and 15 hours over a weekend, signing autographs and taking pictures with the fans. And, I think we were at a con recently that we did really well at, and we counted up 950 interactions over the course of the weekend.
Wow.
And that doesn't give me time.
Sure.
Because during the day when the con's happening, that's when I'm making it part of my living.
You got me a beat.
And that being said, we're dying to get me back out on the floor, and we're looking at some cons next year where I could do some incognitos because it's time, and it's been a little bit too long.
Hey, well, in all fairness, the last time you were at Dragon Con, or I knew you were at Dragon Con, I saw some cosplay. I thought it was probably you, and I asked him, and I gotta no.
He says no.
Can I say I was at Dragon Con 2 years ago. And I was in my Gemini spacesuit that Ryan Nagata built. And I had a black balaclava, so I was just a blank behind the visor. Right. And I walked out on the floor. I'm out on the floor 45 seconds, and I see a guy look over at me and look away. And then I see him think, hey, that was a better costume than I normally look. And he goes like this, and he looks up and down and goes, Adam.
That's pretty good.
I was like, man.
Weren't you like just out in regular persona and somebody accused you of not being a very good Adam Savage cosplay?
That has never happened, but that would be delightful. I have only ever denied that I was me once. And it was, I'm in the Virgin Islands, and we're filming Shark Week down there. And my wife is down there with me, and we're out one night after dinner, and we're, like a couple can do, we're having an argument on the street. We're like pissed off at each other. And so we're just sort of walking on in silence because we're having this argument. And these these like 3 super drunk guys on bicycles are like riding by and they're like, oh, no way, no. And they get off their bikes and they come over. And I'm like, dudes, I get it all the time. It's not me. I wish I could tell you something different.
I get
And
that
they're
all
like,
the time.
oh, so sorry, man. And they rode away. There was just no way that taking selfies near my angry wife was going to be the way that evening played
Yeah,
out.
it's not going to work. Nope.
And I'm sorry to those guys in the Bahamas.
Yeah, my usual response when I was working, I did a lot of videos, so people recognize me from the industry, and they go, "Are you Chuck?" And I'd usually say, "Are you the police?"
Stupid.
Yeah, I was going to do that one time. I was like, "Who's this Chuck guy?" I get that all the time.
I know, right? Yeah.
I'll tell you, one of the most surprising things about YouTube is that over the past 5 years, I've been slowly getting more and more famous. Like I get more and more recognition on the street, in airports, around the world. And that can only be from Tested because it's been 6 years since I've been on television.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I know Mythbusters is on HBO Max. It's on Amazon Prime. It's on Fubo, right? It's all over the place now. And a whole nother generation is raising their kids on it, which is fascinating.
So, what gets you excited these days?
Oh,
Being on a podcast.
That's the dread. Other end of the spectrum.
Again, the ubiquity of podcasts to me is the ubiquity of individual enthusiasms being celebrated on the regular. You know,
I'll have to put that in the next edition of the book.
What gets me excited is that there's still surprises out there. Mm-hmm. You know, a few years ago during the protests, the student protests in Hong Kong, I was astounded by the ingenuity of the protesters in defeating facial recognition, in using technology and simple technologies to defeat tear gas bombs. I find real inspiration in what this technology can do to help marginalized communities. And again, you know, to me, all I want is for everybody to be indulging in the things they can't stop thinking about, because my most fervent belief as a person is that when you dive into those things you can't stop thinking about, and you scratch those itches, that in there you're going to find yourself. You're going to discover who you are. And all of my favorite people are deeply in touch with who they are, and I'm inspired by being around them.
Well,
great way to put it.
Yeah, exactly. So where do you see yourself in 10 years? You think you're going to ever retire?
God,
this sounds like a job interview now.
Yeah, no.
You see yourself in 10 years.
In 10 years. In 10 years. So in 10 years, I will be almost 70. My kids will be in their late 30s. Wow.
I used to think that was old, but not so much anymore.
I know. You know, I'm not sure. It's such a lovely question. I'm really clear that I'd love to retire from this job, right? Like, this is a marvelous job, and I don't need to do anything else. So I'd love to still be doing this. I view that it's probably, given the world and the state of technology and technology channels, it's probably unlikely that Tested looks a lot like this in 10 years. But one of the things that I and the team I have put together over the last 20 years, one of the things I think is one of our core competencies is in listening to and responding and building community with our fans. My right hand, Kristen Lemazny, who's the general manager of Tested, she goes to all the cons with me. And when you're at those cons and you're getting the regular updates about where I'm going to be and when I'm going to be at the table, that's her. And when I do my panels at the cons, she's always in the back of the room while I'm up on stage. And I joke that together we're holding the whole audience there. She's got them from the back and I've got them from the front. She's giving me that viewpoint of how they're responding, what it's like back over there. And when we go do those cons, it does not feel like work. Honestly, it is work for real, but we are so constantly impressed and surprised and inspired by the stuff and the stories that people bring to us. Families that cosplay together. Oh my God. In the deep South, we see this all the time in the deep South. A family where only one of them's in costume and it's the 13-year-old. And everyone else in the family has no idea what is going on with the 13-year-old. They can't. Why is he green? They don't know, but they're here and they're supporting him.
Yeah.
And
That's
they're
awesome.
mystified, like every parent is by their children. But I like give them so much love. And then at least once a day, some young person brings us a costume or a puppet or something, and it's remarkable. And we get to be an early harbinger that tells them this is remarkable. And you should know that being able to match the color blue between your gloves and your shirt when they're two different materials is not the kind of thing most people can achieve. And it's much harder than you think it is. And you should follow this. I had one kid bring me an Iron Man costume he had printed in 2 weeks. And I was like, how old are you? And he said 15. And I was like, just turned to his mom. And I was like, listen, you tell him when he goes out on a job interview, bring this suit and tell them it took 2 weeks. As a supervisor, I would hire you on the spot.
This is your portfolio. Wear it.
Yeah, I'm like, I love explaining to young people. All your supervisor wants to know is, can you be useful to them right now?
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
They don't care about your art. They don't care about your aesthetics. They want to know, could you build me a 57 Cadillac this big in 3 days? Yes.
Right.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
That's awesome.
Sorry, what was the question?
Where do you see yourself in 10 years?
It is still, wherever I am in 10 years, there is still a significant fan component to it. To me, it's like, yeah, that's the only thing I know for sure.
You've got that community. It will last 10 years. I guarantee you.
And I will still be, out and speaking and performing. I love telling stories. It's been too long since I have regularly told stories on stage, and I'm trying to remedy that. I'm sure there will still be pop culture cons going on in 10 years. I think I'll be going to fewer of them, perhaps.
Well, hey, my son and I raised him on Mythbusters, of course. And then we saw y'all live a few times, the Mythbusters tour. We saw it twice. And then we saw Brain Candy, which that was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And so I guess some of that could have been on the cards. You talking about doing stage.
Those tours are absolutely supported by being on television. There is still a cultural saturation that you get from being on television on one of the major channels that you kind of can't get any other way. We were recently attempting, so I was able to sell out those shows with Jamie and I and Michael Stevens. We sold out, I think, 80% of our venues over 200 plus shows.
Wow.
And that was really significantly on the back of being on TV. We were able to discover was airing ads for the show as part of our negotiation. They were airing ads for the shows we were doing, even in local markets. So it was absolutely invaluable. I have more trouble these days selling out 2,000 and 3,000 seat houses.
Well, we'll tell you how many listeners actually listen to this. We'll see how that goes.
We can fill a conference room.
Well, listen, I've had some marvelous appearances in conference rooms. I think that if I'm going to gravitate towards an audience, it's more likely to be colleges, because I do feel like I have a cultural saturation with college students right now that seems pretty deep.
Well, there's also that element of that's where you can have a great impact too, influencing their direction.
It's right. I totally, and I almost never really overtly talk politics, although anyone who watches me knows what my politics are. I don't overtly talk about them, but I love going to colleges specifically and inculcating those kids with my loving shit.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. As we wrap up, let's do our lightning round. Craig, let's alternate these. I'll take the first one.
Okay.
Adam, what kind of phone do you have?
I have a iPhone 16 Pro, which I got last year because finally I always got the best camera. That's what I always want out of my phone. And
Right.
forever, it was the Pro Max that gave you the best camera. But the iPhone 15 Pro Max was too big for me. And I went to the smaller 16 Pro, and I'm delighted because my 17 Pro arrives on Friday, and it's the same exact size, and that's just the right size for me.
Well, there you go.
And
So-
by the way, orange, that's the color I got it in, because orange is
Orange
the
one,
best
yeah.
color.
So what's your favorite tattoo?
Well, I mean, I've got my favorite tattoo, which is my inches and centimeters.
Right.
There it is.
Yeah, it is. I like being a useful animal.
You're a tool too.
I am a tool.
In 10 years, is this still going to be NIST compliant?
Yes, actually, a plastic surgeon told me that the skin of my arms had done all the stretching it was going to do unless I gained a tremendous amount of weight.
Okay.
Because if I had done this in my 20s, absolutely by my 60s, it'd be washed out. But I did this in 2019, in January of 2019. So it's fairly new.
Yeah.
I thought, it might be sagging and waving a little bit.
Actually, to be clear, when I made this isn't 6 inches, that's 6 inches.
Oh,
So a little bit of tension so I can tune it.
Right. There you go.
Next question. What's your favorite song?
Song. The songs that I gravitate towards. There is a wonderful band that most people don't know about. They're still very small, even though they've been around for a while, called Hooray for the Riff Raff.
Okay.
Hooray
That's a new
for
one
the
on me.
Riff
All
Raff.
right.
They're a beautiful band. They write beautiful songs, and they have a song called 2 Weeks to Catch the Buffalo. I think it's actually just called Buffalo, but the chorus is 2 weeks to catch the buffalo. And I can't. Apple told me last year it was a song I listened to more than any other song. Can't stop listening to it. I play it every night on the guitar and sing it to myself. And then the other song that I do the same, I listen to all the time, I play it on the guitar each night, is Michigan by the Milk Carton Kids. They are a troubadour duo, Joey and Ken. They're good friends of mine. And they do a beautiful concert. They're just two voices with acoustic guitars, and I love the sonic space they create.
I'll have to look them up.
Yeah.
And then one last one is, if it's Friday and I want all the energy in my body, I put on Signed, Sealed, and Delivered by the Jackson 5.
Oh, there you go. That's a good one. So what's your favorite movie?
There's at least 5 movies in my favorite movie category.
Okay. 5. Okay.
This is a lot like mine.
Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yep.
Alien. In the Mood for Love
Okay.
by Wong Kar-wai from 2001. One of the most beautiful movies ever made. And then those 3. Oh my God. Wait a minute. Look, I mean, Blade Runner and Brazil are also in there.
Sure.
Although I've watched Brazil so many times, I'm not sure I can watch it anymore. I literally have seen Brazil over 150 times.
Wow.
I projected it in its first American run for 8 months.
That's like Star Wars. When I was a kid, I hitched a ride with everybody that said they were going to see the movie, and I saw it again, probably 150 times.
Yeah. And then if The Departed's on television, I have to watch it all the way through. There's no way I can stop.
Oh, that's
Jaws. Oh my God. There's just too many movies. There's too
Yep.
many great cinematic experiences that I have had. To narrow it down, because each of those, like, what is there, like 6 genres in the 8 movies I just named?
And they all have their attributes there that you admire about them that makes them a great movie.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I thought you were going to talk about your MacGuffin, the Maltese Falcon.
Well, yeah, man. And then I go back to those movies, and there's the Philadelphia Story, The Third Man. Ah, man. I mean, there's some amazing stuff back there that's just mind-blowing and really complex. So, you'd think that black and white movies don't have a lot for you, and that means you haven't watched many of them.
Right. They're at a different pace than we have today.
Well, everything feels like I tried to watch Rocky recently, and Rocky feels like a real-time documentary.
Yeah.
It's so slow.
It's not a documentary.
Yeah.
All right, favorite cosplay that you've built?
Favorite cosplay that I have built would be this spacesuit, my XEMU. I built this for a corporate client. Under the proviso, I got to keep it, but it's the first spacesuit that I designed and built from scratch. And there's a reason it's like never come off the armor stand. I need to look at it all the time. And then at the same time, commensurate with that would be, again, there's 3 in this category, would be No Face and Totoro, both Hayao Miyazaki characters. And in both cases, when you go out into the world as a fantasy gentle monster, the public's response to that is such an antidepressant.
Which we need more of.
Yeah.
What's that?
I said, which we need more of.
We totally need more of. No, it really is true.
Mm-hmm. So what's a favorite cosplay you've actually seen?
Oh, so I see so much. Among the things that have blown my mind, there was a few years ago, there was a General Grievous that was actually 8.5 feet tall, and the operator was puppeting it from inside Grievous's cape.
I think I saw that. Yeah.
Just a level of innovation and attempt to try something wholly new. I'm so inspired by, and that's usually what really gets me. The very first time I went to San Diego Comic-Con and I walked out on the street, that main drag in front of the hall on the first day, and I saw Hello Kitty Darth Vader in bright pink.
I love mashups. I love mashups.
In that mashup, really specifically, I was like, man, that is a journey of triumph I am looking at.
Right.
That person was like, I got to do this thing. It's not cheap to go. He wasn't using a dumb $40 Don Post Vader mask. You know, she, I don't, who know. But they put this thing together. They were bringing these 2 worlds, and I felt like they were showing me personally what was possible with this hobby.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We saw a ton of Barbie mashups at Dragon Con a few years ago. I think the pink Darth Vader was there, and a bunch of Kenobi, for Ken.
Yep.
Stuff, all kinds of cool stuff.
Favorite sound effect?
I've been thinking about this all week, and it's a weird one. So least favorite sound effect, by the way, now is the Wilhelm scream. If I never hear it again in a movie, I almost can tell when it's about to happen. If I see someone fall off a balcony and I see a pool of water, I know I'm going to hear the Wilhelm scream.
There goes a guy flying through the air.
Hey, I got my son on that, and every time we watch a movie, he goes, there it is.
Yep. But in the old Hanna-Barbera commercials, not Bugs Bunny, but the Hanna-Barbera, Catch That Pigeon. Do you remember that show?
Yes.
Wacky Races was part of that.
Right.
There was a sound effect that when somebody got bit by Smedley the dog, it was this weird crunching sound with like a ring in it. It doesn't sound like any chewing that ever happened in the world. It's like a cartoon chewing sound. But I've been obsessed with it for months and thinking about actually finding a sound effects technician to be like, what is this sound? How did they make this? What are the things that bring this sound into me?
I'm curious. Craig, do you have a favorite sound effect?
Right off the top of my head is probably the blaster fire in Star Wars, because when I was a kid,
camera's moving again.
I was watching the making of Star Wars when I was a kid, and I was hitting the guy wire, with the wrench. Yeah.
I love the hats.
Wait. I've got something to show you, and I'm not sure I can get to it.
Oh, no.
Nope. Sorry. It's too hard to get to. Ben Burt came here to the cave.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Right. And Ben's the guy who was tapping that guy wire.
Oh, yeah.
And he was down at that part of the California desert where they recorded that a few years ago, shooting a documentary about Star Wars. And at the moment they were there, they were actually redoing the guy wires on that very radio tower.
Did it have the
same
quality?
What Ben brought me was a 1-foot section of the cable from the tower that made the blaster.
Oh, sweet.
For crying out loud.
It's the weirdest bit of film esoterica that I possess in this room.
That's probably the one I saw. It was in the documentary where he was.
Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome. What about you,
And
Chuck?
speaking of Star Wars, a close second in the sound effect is the lightsaber, which is one of those, like, when the lightsaber arrived in culture.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, hey, isn't that cool? It was more like, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's it.
Right?
Done here.
You're just like, oh yeah, that's what fantasy weapons do and sound like 100%. And it's
you're talking about the whole spectrum of lightsaber sounds, or is it the unsheathing? Is it the clashing? Is it just the humming, thrumming?
no, it's the humming, thrumming, which was the first thing you saw in Star Wars.
Okay.
I mean, it's one of those, like, it's so perfect. It's easy to forget that it didn't exist at one point.
Here, we'll have to do this.
Yes, right? Like, nobody had ever heard or developed that idea of a sound until they did. And when they did, it was so perfect. We never, we barely touched it. You know, I know that the sound engineers at ILM have spent decades doing all sorts of wonderful additions to the lightsaber sound canon.
Right.
But they're still modifying an original idea that was perfect in its execution.
Craig, you asked me mine. Mine is also a cartoon sound. I can't name specifically where it appears, but it's usually when somebody gets clonked on the head. Cool. It's that sound of about 3 strings in a piano going, bam.
Oh, okay.
I love that sound. I don't know why, but I love that sound.
There used to be this wonderful HBO little mini documentary called Track Stars, which you can find on YouTube if you go look for it. And it is a split screen of a cheap B-grade movie with a fight scene in it and 2 Foley technicians doing all the sound effects for the fight scene live in one take.
That's awesome.
One take. Oh my God.
One take. It's so thrilling. There's like slabs of meat and at the end they're just absolutely spent and exhausted. Awesome. There's at one point someone cocks a gun and they pull out a pair of lockjaw pliers and like chunk chunk.
That's cool.
It's like, if my gun sounded like that, I would throw it in the garbage.
Right.
Well, we are out of time and greatly appreciate you giving us your time, Adam. Thank you so much for hanging out with us today. Let's not make it another 20 years, though.
Right.
Let's check in a decade. Let's do it in half the time.
We'll see where you're at in 10 years. That's right.
How close your prediction,
Chuck. It's been such a pleasure, man. Thanks for having me back on.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.